Today's IoT revolution has put sensors in lots and billions of products. And that data to date has been used to monitor and alert, but not really to then use the data to put in the context of the whole life cycle of the product.
Welcome to UpTech Report. This is our Applied Tech series. UpTech Report is sponsored by Terraleap. Learn how to leverage the power of video at terraleap.io. Today, I'm joined by my guest, Ken Rapp, who's based in Massachusetts. He's the CEO at Blustream. Welcome, Ken. Good to have you on.
Thank you, Alex. Nice to be here.
Now, Blustream is an after-sale customer engagement platform. So from your website, if I understand correctly, you're focused on helping physical goods companies build after-sale connections between their products and the end users. This concept of where you play a role, I'm curious, can you help me understand the problem? Like the concern that these companies, these physical goods companies, they have a product. What are they concerned about? What is the problem that they're facing that your product exists to solve?
Awesome question. Thanks. Yeah, and let's just explain physical goods. So physical goods are anything from musical instruments to pets are a good, could be a physical good, to RVs and boats and motorcycles. So that's what we mean by physical goods rather than software products. And the problem, it's actually very interesting. The problem is that there's no relationship or very little relationship between a company or a brand, our favorite brands, and their consumers after a sale. So there's been a lot of work done pre-sale in marketing automation and in making sure that you manage the filling up your pipeline with some campaigns, as well as managing the pipeline through the stages. And then the order comes and we all do the salesman dance, woohoo, we got our order. And then what happens is the consumer goes home or they have something delivered and they have their product. And the only time you tend to hear from them is if there's a problem. So the third place that there's a lot of great platforms are around, inquiries or service type systems to have tickets so you don't drop a ticket. But if you think about the relationship that the consumer has with their product, it's throughout an entire life cycle. A life cycle could be a month, a life cycle could be 100 years in the case of some musical instruments that are heirlooms and passed on. And along those life cycles of products, there's an opportunity to help companies connect with their customer around the engagement of the product. And that's really exciting for us that we're helping the industry to create those relationships around the product back to the brand.
So you kind of lay the foundation here that there's lots of solutions out there for companies on the front end, the pipeline. Get them in. How do I track them? Where are our leads? What are they doing? And then when they actually have a problem, there's lots of software solutions. But you're painting a picture of a gap in the middle. Like after they bought the product, how do they stay connected to the brand? Why would a company care about that section? Shouldn't they be happy to have the product, and should they care or worry about them until they do have a problem? What's the role? What do you see as the need there?
Lifetime value. So after a sale, if you don't know who your customer is, then you clearly as a brand could lose them to competition. And we call ourselves Churn Busters. We really are in business to help companies connect with their customers to create a lifetime relationship. And there's really three major benefits to the company. The first one is that retention and reducing churn by helping their customer actually know something about their product that they need to do, some action at exactly the right time. And it creates loyalty and trust between the company and that customer. And then that creates an opportunity when the customer should buy something, maybe it's an accessory or a consumable or another Another bicycle, they're right there with that brand. So it creates revenue. So first one's retention. I call it 3 R's: the retention, revenue, and the last one is referrals. When you have a brand that is connected to you in a virtual connection to provide coaching and value to you about their products, you tell your friends because, wow, they care about how you're enjoying that product experience. And so
Who?
did that answer your question?
Yeah, well, I'm curious who at a company would be the one that would lead this type of effort. Is it
Marketing.
marketing?
Yeah, marketing management, product management, marketing communications, CMO, that's
With the focus of
CMOs and
getting repeat, to be able to get repeat business. You say the churn buster, and I often, as I am talking with SaaS companies, they always talk about churn, but because they don't want people to stop paying their monthly fees. But in a product world, obviously the point is you want them to keep buying more products, more solutions from the company, right?
Yeah, well, it's a whole ecosystem, but yeah, if let's take an example of a musical instrument. So I buy a guitar. I happen to play guitar. So I buy a guitar and I go home. I might have gone to a big retail store. And if I'm the retail store when I go home, actually, let me back up. If I went to that guitar store, big retailer, I might play a whole bunch of guitars. And then when I go home, what's the first thing I do? I Google it or I search, I look at Amazon and I find um, a million hits on that kind of guitar. So it's completely commoditized the world. Online buying has completely commoditized the world. So how do you compete in that environment if you're the brand that you really have the right fit for that consumer? It's got to move to after the sale. So now I buy the guitar and I bring it home. And let's talk about what happens in that life cycle. We call it 3 stages. You have onboarding, which is when I unbox the instrument, I pick it up and start to tune it up. And boy, I don't know, maybe I don't know how to tune it up. So maybe I should have a video right there and then on click here and we'll show you how to tune up the guitar, how to clean the guitar, how to hold the guitar. What kind of music do you like, right? So that's all onboarding. Then the enjoying stage 2, enjoying and usage depends. If I play a lot, there'll be certain tips and coaching I'd like to have. And if I'm a classic rocker versus a jazz person, that they're different tips. And so using a product throughout its life cycle and enjoying it. And maybe I want to play in a band or I want to jam with someone. Maybe so there's all sorts of what we call touch points around there. And then lastly, maintenance. So there's always maintenance and care. And being a guitar person, I actually don't really know how to adjust the truss rod, and with different guitars, they're different. The maintenance and the polish, and what if it gets wet, and how do I store it if I'm not going to play a guitar for a little while? You're supposed to loosen the strings and put it flat, or you can cause some problems for the neck and things. So there's this onboarding, enjoying, and maintenance stages of a product. And if the company or the brand that I bought it from, whether it's the retailer or the brand itself, is connected to me and advising me and coaching me through that experience, I'm much more likely to look to them when it's time to buy more strings or to buy the maintenance kit or to seek out the right service provider, to the luthier they're called, to make the right adjustments on my musical instrument. And that this transfers to any product. So it could be a pet, it could be your RV, it could be your house. There's all around us your first onboarding, then your enjoying and usage, and then your maintenance. And just let me wrap it up with, one connection point that when I talk to people and share what we're doing is your car. So when your car asks you to change the oil, you probably change the oil. Rather than if a campaign came to you with a coupon when you don't even know how many miles you rode because the car will take care of that. So this product centricity is really where we come from at Blustream. We're all about the product perspective to the consumer from the brand, rather than just looking at the consumer to take an action about some task. And in the car example, when I first got my car, which was a few years ago, I thumbed through a 100-page manual, and there was probably 25 touch points in there, maybe more. But I haven't looked at that manual since I put it back in the glove box and just drive my car. And so that's a lost opportunity for the car manufacturer or the service provider to be helping me understand what to look for, whether there's been no rain for the past month and it's too dry, you should do something to the car. It's been raining for 2 weeks and you should do something to the car.
You paint a picture that in the product world, consumer product world, is such a commoditized. I'll just find something, whatever's cheapest product out there. And we're not even choosing to say that the in person. We may explore it in person, but we want to go online, just buy something. And so you're pontificating, or rather stating, that it's better place to market is the existing customers that once they come through, by continuing to market them because you're going to have a relationship with them. And that's where you've really honed in on this customer marketing after the sale, post sale. How does this solving this then affect the average customer, like what the average consumer? If multiple brands all around us started doing this, how does this play out then?
So if you think about your own world, you probably have a handful of products around you that are important to you, and that it would be nice if you got some tips. So we break down the touch points into educational tips, alerts, like something you should be aware of is going to happen, and purchase recommendations, those three things. And we trigger off of either a time basis. So day one, trigger an educational video welcoming you to, thanking you for buying that guitar and welcoming you to the guitar brand's family. It could be an inquiry where you say, a trigger is, have you ridden 10 miles on your new bicycle yet? And you say yes. And then from a product perspective, we're able to track at 100 miles. We're going to keep track for you. You rode 10 miles in 2 weeks. We'll give you, in 20 weeks, we're going to come back and we're going to suggest to you, here's the maintenance to adjust the brakes and, fix the handlebars and adjust your seat and make sure the tires are right. So it's educational. It's alerts. If there's a problem, like, if you're riding 10 miles a week or every 2 weeks, you likely want to have, you want to check your air in your tires after you've gone about 50 miles. That's an alert. And then finally, purchase recommendations where, again, if it's 100 miles, the recommendation is, do you know how to tune up the bicycle? Would you like to buy a little toolkit accessory that, has the right tools in it to adjust the seat and the handlebars and the brakes? So we really look at product engagement as touch points, and it creates this great experience for the consumers. They just, as a consumer, wouldn't you love someone to tell you in the fall? I live up here in New England. In the fall, it's, the winter's coming. And so what do you do to your lawnmower to have it ready to winterize it? And give me the education, so I don't have to worry about it. Let it just show up and tell me what to do. Meanwhile, all summer, it was giving me tips about my lawn, and telling me how to keep the lawnmower running well, how to keep my tractor, the air in the tires properly, but also how to make my grass greener if I want it greener.
Ken, why are you passionate about this? Why did you decide to start Blustream and do all this?
So it's interesting. I'm an unmet needs kind of guy. So I love to find unmet needs that really bring value to consumers or to a business, particularly a business and their customer, and marry the two, the unmet need with some innovation. And what's cool here is this is not rocket science that we're doing. What we've done is we're applying modern, cool technology that's available to us to a problem. I call that an application business rather than molecules or rocket science. So I play guitar, and I was volunteering my time up at one of the local schools here in their entrepreneurial program, and one of my colleagues came and presented that his $2,000 guitar had cracked because of a very cold, dry New England winter. And so I said, geez, why didn't the guitar actually tell him before there was a problem that there was going to be a problem? And he and I started chatting, and then, I met the rest of his team, and off we went.
And then so Blustream comes into existence. Your focus on physical goods, I feel like a lot of this type of solution is on the software side already. It's like customer success teams exist. So once you're using the product, there's already automated emails that come to you and training and onboarding. But in the physical goods, I think it's there. Like I buy stuff from Amazon, and there's a little document, and it takes me to a video over here, but it's not as organized. I mean, you get a little bit. There's some onboard, there's some tutorials and trainings and here, but I guess you're trying to bring more organization to it more. And are you bringing tracking? Like, is that like another big piece?
Sure. So let's start with the organization. So what's very interesting is most brands and companies already have the content on how to take care of and use and onboard, enjoy, and maintain their products throughout the product lifecycle. But where is it? It's on their website. Mm-hmm. And so I, as a consumer or a customer of the product, have to remember to go Google it or go up to their website and find it when I think I need it after I've had a problem.
So how are you communicating? Is it email, text, what?
Yep. So to date, we work with companies on our full stack, which would include white labeled mobile apps that we'll work with companies on if they would like mobile apps, or email or text if they just want to be connected through off the shelf standard email or text. And then I wanted to mention, because you sort of headed there, is that today's IoT revolution has put sensors in lots and billions of products. And that data to date has been used to monitor and alert, but not really to then use the data to put in the context of the whole life cycle of the product. So your example, right? So you get home and you've got the onboarding video and the pamphlet in the box, and that's all cool, but then it stops and you start enjoying and using the product, and you have to go find information to get the most out of it and to stay engaged with it. And as I said earlier, we're churn busters. I'm blown away by some of the metrics of churn in the world. People buy products and then they're not successful with them, lose interest, and then they end up in the scrap heap, or they just don't use them. And so we really see ourselves helping someone who makes an investment be able to get the most out of it and then continue to enjoy and use the product.
This focus of churn busting. I mean, there's again, on SaaS world, the software world, there's tons of stats that people track of how is the churn. Is that common in the product world? Do they track that type of statistic?
Some do, some don't. But everybody knows that if you can retain a customer, mm-hmm. and cross-sell and upsell and provide more value through education and alerts, you have a much higher likelihood of that customer coming back.
It's like repeat customers. I feel like they often is the common terminology that like, we need to get more customers coming back. But it's the same concept of churn, is you want them to buy more of your products, not go somewhere else and buy other products.
Yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned after a sale, that's what we're all about. And you have companies, even if they don't know what churn is, and we talk with them and begin to articulate what's the value of retaining a customer. And you said something earlier that's pretty important. Today's behavior is pre-sale is completely commoditized. Just go search on any product you want, whether it's a lawnmower or a guitar, and you get millions of hits, right? So what happens is today's marketing dollars are being spent to remarket and resell to you may already have the customers. They may already be your customers, and you're still spending all that money up front to try and differentiate in this very difficult commoditized world. Imagine if you were connected to that customer, bringing them value, interacting with them, asking them, oh, so you've now hit 100 miles. How is the bicycle behaving for you? Or how is, Lucky the puppy doing? It's going to rain on Saturday. Did you know that, Lucky might be a little worried? Would you like to learn about that puppies can be scared of thunder? And there's something called a thunder jacket. And we'll show you a little video about, what a thunder jacket can do to calm down a puppy when there's going to be rain. And we do it by monitoring the weather for the weekend. And so this is technology that's available to us today. And yet it's not been applied to this after-sale product engagement opportunity.
The shift in a marketer's mindset of where are they spending their dollars, I can imagine that is a problem. That is a concern of, okay, we have limited budget. Where are we going to put our effort and time? And you make the point that you're spending money on lead gen in whatever ad marketing, but you're really getting the same customers. So why don't you just shift it to truly focusing on your customers in this post-sale environment? Do you foresee that it is going to become the norm then, that every product company is just going to put more and more energy on that post-sale and reducing churn?
I think you have to. I mean, that's our mission, is to help every company have a new and meaningful relationship with their customer after the sale, and it'll transform your business. You can, some of the stats are, you can double your revenues in, a few years by crushing churn, by increasing LTV, by improving retention. And, we're providing a platform that will allow anybody with a physical product to quickly set up a trigger, an educational tip, alert, or purchase recommendation, and the channel. You pick those three. The trigger might be time, in 24 hours do this, and the content is the video that they already have on their website, and the channel might be a text. And then 2 weeks later, the trigger might be the weather. If it's going to be raining 5 days before it rains, offer a video or a blog on what happens if your product gets wet and how to take care of it after it's wet. And then here's the channel might be, we're going to use email. So you put those together and then load them into our cloud, and our cloud will just take care of it for you.
All these features where you're just talking about or connection points, is that something that you're setting up for them? Are they going in, they see all their options and they're just connecting the dots? Is it custom built? Like, what is the complexity when it comes to building these triggers?
Great question. So the history of our company, we white glove service our customers all the way from IoT and sensors if they need them, and we have partners that we work with for that, to mobile apps that are, white labeled so that they can be branded for our customer or what they need, all the way up to the triggers, the content, and the channels. And we work with our customers in the history of Blustream from end to end, full stack. But as we go forward, we've actually designed and are deploying in the second half this year, by end of year, touch wood, is where we're headed, for taking our cloud engine, the Touchpoint Manager, and enabling anyone to use the cloud and the Touchpoint Manager with time or increase to the consumer, or scraping the web to understand if it's going to be the weather or some new important information that triggers the content they already have tied to email, text, or some other channel that they want.
What's the biggest objection you've seen from others in regarding your technology for that adoption, and how are you addressing it?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge I think we face is on us. Articulating the story as an earlier stage company is difficult, and it takes iterations and conversations. And I think we've not been as clear as we are now about what it is that we're doing and the value we bring. So we've talked a lot with a few companies, because we've focused primarily on the back wheel, I call it, the power wheel, which is the product and the architecture. And today we have a million data points an hour coming up into our cloud and making decisions and recommending the right action at the right time to customers. So for us, we focus there, and now we're out and we're talking with people, and we're getting much better at what we're saying. So we really see ourselves as the marketing automation system for after sale, focused on products, which is much. I couldn't have said that to you 3, 4, or 5 months ago, but that's from being out into the market. As soon as we say it, I'm blown away, Alex, by VPs of sales, VPs of marketing, CMOs. They're like, of course we want to have a relationship with our customer after the sale. In fact, we only get south of 15% of a card back, registering the product. And so we don't even know who the 15%, less than 15% of our consumers in the world, we have their names or their emails or bring any value to them. And even worse is if you're a brand and you're working through a retail channel, so a bigger box store, which is changing as we talked about, you definitely don't have any connection until there's a problem, and then they call you and they want it fixed.
You bring up a great point. So how are you addressing that issue then? If somebody buys one of your products somewhere, how do they get into the system? How are you able to stay in touch with them? How are you addressing that?
So a really, really important point you're making there, that you have to let everybody opt out anytime they want to. But what we do is, starting from the point of sale system, we offer up the first touch point. And it's either through the point of sale system or through their CRM of the brand we're working with. We'll offer up a thank you for the purchase. And here's what here's a touch point. Here's something we want to bring of value. Here's a video. Here's a little tip. And then, opt out at the bottom. If they don't opt out, we go to the next one, and they can opt out anytime. But see, we're really less about frequency and more about content, more about value. So you don't need to hear from, we don't believe in hearing from a brand, once a week. You should hear from a brand every day for the first 30 days, if that's the right content to help that consumer through that specific product. And then it'll taper down and become more of the life cycle through enjoyment and usage. And then there's maintenance that'll run in the background. So we build this incredible trust because it's not spam. It's not just a sequential campaign. It's actually asynchronous. Because there's inquiries about a product that you don't trigger on right away. Like I said, if I know that I've played a guitar for 10 hours a week, at 100 hours, that is nothing. That could be in 3 weeks. It could be in 3 months. So inquiring when that happens is not a standard campaign. A goes to B, step 1 to step 2 to step 3. And that's what's running up in the cloud and keeping track of, each personal consumer, each consumer or each end customer's needs.
Kind of coming to a more open-ended question here of just looking ahead. What kind of futuristic technology do you see is coming to this industry of both marketing but post-sale customer-centric focus? What do you see as far as the technology that could be coming and that you're excited about?
I think that products are going to be smart and get smart. They're already smart, but they're getting smarter. And the technologies for IoT is getting so inexpensive that you can put a sensor on anything. And we think that's the wrong job as a standalone. Just putting sensors on things because you can is not the right job. But I think as you look ahead, every product will come with some sort of intelligence in it. And we believe we're the platform to tie that data and bring a lot of value for the entire life cycle of the product, whether it's a vacuum cleaner or, a new fish, that you get. I mean, I've gotten home with my kids, put a fish on the table, had a bowl. And then I say, what did they tell me to do? How warm should the water be before I put the fish in the water? And yet, if I'm successful at that hobby, right? So I might buy another fish, and then I need a bigger tank, and then I need to, I'm going to have like maybe salt water, and before you know it, I'm a big customer there. That's what this is all about. So we're so delighted to be helping the consumer have an awesome customer experience, and the brand be the power behind it. And we're the platform underneath the two of those.
I appreciate the vision of that, and both for the company being able to have that connection with their end customer, provide the value and get repeat business. But for a customer, as a consumer, I could actually get the answers, the insight when I need it, when things come in. For those that want to check more, the site, just so you know, is blustream.io, and looks like you can be able to book a demo. Is that a good first step for people to take?
Absolutely, and it's blue without an E, so it's BLU stream. Just to clarify, kind of with the little dots, it's the Blustream.io. So that's perfect. Thank you, Alex.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ken, for sharing, taking us along this journey, the insight and the focus that you have on post-sale and the future of product companies be able to, physical goods companies putting more emphasis after the sale, helping the customer. So thanks again, Ken, for your time. And we'll see you all on the next episode of Uptech Report. Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.